There's a problem with Mars, a problem that cannot be solved by science, nor by any other means. They say Mars is a lifeless planet, a place where naturally life is impossible. Scientists have indeed found ways to keep humans alive there with technology. But perhaps the silent red planet has its own plans for human hopes, because here exists a deadly phenomenon, one that already claimed the life of NASA's Opportunity rover. Welcome once again to iFlare video. Before we discuss this special issue of Mars, we need to understand why humanity is gambling everything on a barren planet 210 million kilometers away. You see, scientists believe that the natural resources of Earth are slowly but surely depleting. Glaciers are melting, rivers are drying up, and life near the equator is becoming harder with each passing day. According to estimates, by the year 2100, even if we somehow control the greenhouse effect, most of the world's glaciers will already be gone. Fresh water will become a rare luxury. But beyond all this, if Earth faces a disaster, like a deadly pandemic, a global nuclear war, or an asteroid impact, there will be no other option left to advance human civilization. And just as dinosaurs once disappeared, humans too could vanish forever. To prevent this day, for many years humanity has been searching for a second home, and that second home will not be on Earth, but on Mars. Yes, we intend to build a human colony on Mars, and perhaps we may even succeed. Scientists have chosen Mars because it shares many features with Earth. A Martian day, called a sol, lasts about 24.6 hours, only 36 minutes longer than a day on Earth. Mars also has different seasons: summers, winters, autumn, and spring. But they last longer because Mars has a longer year. Just like Earth, ancient rivers, lakes, and signs of ice have been discovered there. It has polar caps of ice at the north and south poles. It has mountains, valleys, deserts, and volcanoes. In fact, the largest volcano in the solar system, Olympus Mons, stand on Mars. And yes, Mars does have gravity and a thin atmosphere, though far weaker than Earth. Because of all these similarities, Mars was chosen for colonization. But Mars is not Earth. For example, traces of frozen water exist, but it doesn't flow in rivers, ready for human use. It must be extracted from soil, with heavy equipment. The second most crucial thing for survival: oxygen. On Earth, oxygen makes up 20% of our air. On Mars, only 0.13%. The rest, 99.87%, is carbon dioxide. So advanced systems will be needed to produce oxygen. And then, the temperature. Even in daytime, Mars remains freezing cold, around -6 degrees Celsius. At night, it gets even worse. To survive, humans will need protective suits and heated shelters. And even then, you cannot move freely, because Mars lacks a strong magnetic field. It cannot shield you from the sun's deadly radiation that can cause cancer. For years, scientists have worked to solve these challenges. NASA's MOXIE project is designed to make oxygen from CO2 on Mars. It compresses and heats the gas, extracting breathable oxygen. The electricity for this process comes from solar panels. To fight the cold, inflatable habitats and underground bases are being designed. Bunkers from Martian soil or heavy radiation-shielded shelters will protect humans. Even Martian caves may serve as homes. To solve the water problem, NASA and ESA are developing drilling and heating technologies to extract frozen water that can be used for drinking, farming, and oxygen production. Food will come from controlled environment agriculture, sealed greenhouses, with artificial control over air, water, and light. NASA has already tested this in Antarctica and the International Space Station. But there is still one problem, a problem without a solution. And that problem is dust storms. Mars, at first glance, looks like a silent, lifeless desert. Its barren surface, its rocks and faint winds, as if time itself has stopped. But look closer at its horizon, and you see it, a terrifying wall rising. Not an illusion, but a Martian storm. And this is no ordinary storm. Dry ice sublimation. Frozen sea, O2 turning directly into gas. Creates winds so fierce. They ignite massive global storms. Storms so large. They engulf not just cities, not just continents, but the entire planet. Every 3 years or so, these superstorms awaken. Dust so thick that for months, sunlight cannot reach the ground. A nightmare for human technology. Solar panels fail. Communication systems collapse. If humans are to survive on Mars, they must face these storms. But the truth is, we don't yet fully understand what causes them. And if we cannot stop storms on Earth, what hope do we have on Mars? Billions of years ago, Mars was not like this. It had water. It had a dense atmosphere. It may even have had life. But over time, Mars dried up. Its atmosphere escaped into space. Now, only 1% remains. Compared to Earth, scientists believe the real reason behind Martian storms is temperature. On Earth, a thick atmosphere absorbs heat, but on Mars, the thin atmosphere creates extremes. At your feet, 23 degrees Celsius. At your head, freezing cold. Such wild differences generate violent winds. And with winds come storms. On Earth, storms bring clouds. On Mars, they bring dust. Dust that, once lifted, doesn't fall for months because of the weak gravity. And so, Mars stays wrapped in a blanket of dust. During storms, winds reach speeds of 160 kilometers per hour. On Earth, such winds tear roofs off houses, uproot trees. But on Mars, the thin air makes these winds weak. As weak as a 10 kilometers per hour breeze on Earth. The real danger is not the wind. It is the darkness, the blocked sunlight. Because every survival solution for Mars depends on solar power. And without sunlight for months, life stops. On January 24, 2004, NASA's Opportunity rover landed on Mars. It was meant to last 90 days. Instead, it survived 15 years, until 2018, when it faced a giant dust storm. For the first time, NASA realized just how deadly these storms are. Sunlight reaching Opportunity's solar panels fell by 96.